In this lesson, I want to quickly go over how we can create a table in the object-oriented method because it is important to understand how we can work with all of them. And skip over to this one. I'm going to copy out the query because the query is going to be the same thing here. So I'll just show you how this is going to work. And now all we need to do is we can do something similar to what we did down here. So the code is going to be very similar looking and object-oriented. Of course, we just need to update this to be more object-oriented. So just like before where we linked out here and we saw that we got this returned value, we can just simply update this query. And instead of having a query, we're going to link it out and we're going to check to make sure that it's being returned as true. And if it is, then we're going to do table created. And if it's not, then we're going to just write something went wrong. So let's just take a look and just quickly make sure that our content here is proper. We're going to create another table with B. And so let's just go out there and try this out. It looks like it should be correct. Oops, something went wrong. So take a closer look at this. So now it probably helps out if I write out the error, and with that connection, of course, we can write out that error. So let's take a look and see what's going wrong there. So when I refresh it, so no database is selected. And that's, of course, because I didn't update this part yet. So this is our connection, and here I have to set a database name in order to initiate my connection, because of course we haven't specified the database name and it doesn't actually know where it needs to create this table in. So now table created, and when we go back out to the My Data, refresh that, we see that we've got all three tables are there. And now lastly, of course, with the PDO, we can show you how to create a table within that syntax as well. So I'm going to copy out stuff that I've used here, and we're going to create another table. So here we've already specified the database name. So this is going to be that default one that we're using. And I've got to get rid of this null here because we don't want that closing off quite yet because we do want to have our query. So this is our query here. I'm just going to give it syntax table name of test area C, or area, maybe I'll just do test area C. So there we've got our query to create the table. So down here we need to make it PDO compatible, and the way that we're going to do that is we're going to make our link, and we need to use execute in order to execute out that command. So execute, and we need to specify the query within the execute here. And we should actually move some of the things around here because so it just makes more sense, because once we've made our connection here, then what we want to do is we want to write out all of this stuff here. So let's move some of this stuff up. We only need the query information once we've made our connection. And then this stays the same. So if we get any errors, then we're going to catch the errors. And then here at the end, we're just going to shut that down. So once I save that, see how this works out, and we'll see if there's throws any errors there. So we get table created, go into My Data, and let's refresh that. And I'm going to go back and see what table it is that we're making there. So something still's gone wrong here. So let's take a second look through this code just to make sure that we are executing it properly. So I'm going to add in an error checking line here in order to make our check to see if there is anything that's going wrong here. And the way that we do that, so it's always good when something goes wrong, because then we can add in, and then we can see that there's actually a reason for adding in the syntax. So I want to set attribute PDO : attribute error mode, PDO : so this will enable that error handling. And check this out. So when I refresh it, I get invalid catalog name. So I haven't selected a database yet. So let's take a look and see what's happened here. So I've got my MySQL, I've got my host specified, I've got my D name. So this is actually should be DB name. So let's go back and check this out and see if it works. So we have created the table, so there was some syntax issues there, and we were able to create the table. So that's how you enable the error mode, and I'm going to just comment this that this is error handling. So if we do have any errors and we want those errors to be output, we do need to add this in, and that was the issue there. So if we were actually to remove this, then we'd run through it and we wouldn't be able to see if there's any errors being thrown. So that's how you set that error handling mode in PDO connection. And that's how you create a table with PDO connection. So the next set of lessons going to show you how we can actually add into the table and pull information from the table and update the table. So that's all coming up in the next set of lessons.